So I'm going to talk to you about how I overcame my fear of heights, and I did that by climbing some very big things. So I saw this movie about 6 months ago. Did anybody see this movie? Alex Honnold free soloed El Capitan, which means no gear other than chalk and climbing shoes. And I thought that was really awesome, and I was like, wow, like I wish one day I could do that kind of climbing except with ropes. But there was one problem, which was I was actually afraid of heights. So I said, you know, let me try it out though. It looked so beautiful and it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I said, you know, it'll be really healthy for me to do this. Let me just get my clock going. So I got myself a bunch of climbing gear and decided I'm just gonna try to go all in. And I joined a climbing gym. I took a climbing 101 class. And you know, I started like doing some basic kind of climbing, and the fear definitely started to kick in, like around 15 feet off the ground. So this is me about 6 months ago. Let's see if it will get us there. No, YouTube's not working the way I want it to. Anyway, oh, there we go. So you'll see in a minute that I start kind of shaking, and then I jump down. I'm like, okay, I can't handle this, I'm down. And that's how it was in the beginning, and I'm like, well, how am I ever gonna get to, you know, anything close to my ultimate destination if this is my situation? So I step back for a minute, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, let me see what I can do here. So So I said, how about I'll sign up for a climbing technique class? So the idea here is like, I've got this fear, and maybe if I can start to work through that fear. So I thought to myself, well, if I get in this climbing technique class, and this was a month-long class, I'll be doing a bunch of climbing, and I can start gradually working on my fear. Because originally I'd be like really nervous just 15 feet off the ground. And that actually started to work. And I also found myself a mentor. I found somebody I knew somebody who'd been climbing for like 40 years. And I explained to him, I said, hey, you know, I really want to climb, but I have these problems, I'm suffering from these fears. And he's like, what you should do is when you're climbing, focus on the climb. Don't think about your fear. Put your complete focus into the problem at hand, because climbing is all about solving a problem. And I started to do that, and little by little, I started to progress, and like within a month, so this is a 40-foot wall in Bellevue, Stone Gardens, I started to really get better and better. And my form started to get better. I started to get, you notice here I'm flatter on the wall, because in order to really do the bigger climbs, it's all about positioning your weight and your body. So great, so I was making awesome progress. Did this for about 3 months, and finally was like, okay, like I think I'm really getting better with this height thing. Like what I would do sometimes, I would climb up this 40-foot wall and I would just hang out, just to kind of get used to it, just to say like, okay. And one of the things that my mentor advised me was, you need to learn to trust your feet. Like the climbing shoes that you're using have a really, really good grip. And once you start to know that, once you start to realize that you can stand on small things and you're not gonna fall off, that's gonna help you. And actually it did. So then it was like a big time to say, okay, well, let's try something. Let's see if we can go outside. So my mentor actually took me to climb not far from here to this place called Beacon Rock. Now I had never climbed more than 40 feet at that point. This was a 600-foot mountain multi-pitch. So that means you're doing climbs of 100 feet at a time. And guess what? I actually was fine. I was laser focused on what I was doing. This is a view from the top. I could never do this even 3 months before. I would be terrified to be sitting on the edge of a ledge like this. So great, wow, I'm really on my way. What's next? Well, I just came back from Red Rock in Vegas, where fortunately, thanks to my mentor, I was able to connect with some very famous people in the climbing world, and I got to do some pretty serious climbs. So I climbed this mountain, this route called the Cat in the Hat, and I was able to climb with the person who first ascended that route 40 years ago. And you'll see the view in a second if the video comes up. So kind of dizzying, but awesome. Let's see if it starts. Okay. So that's me sitting on that ledge And that is George Uriasti, who is 82 years old, by the way, who was actually climbing up that mountain. But I was completely comfortable. So I went from being nervous 15 feet off the ground to be able to be sitting here 300-400 feet on a ledge, perfectly comfortable. And then this is our final picture of the three of us after we climbed the top of this mountain. Joanne, by the way, she's 67. She's also awesome. So to close out, what I wanted to say is that this was an example of my fear of heights, but fear is a general thing that we deal with. You can take this example and apply it to many other things. And what I learned is you can overcome your fears by focus, by concentration, by finding mentors who have gotten over that fear or who are familiar with it, and with a lot of persistence, and probably some luck too. So, thank you very, very much.